about MIDI racks here. We're not really going to talk too deeply about effects racks because effect racks really are just, you throw some effects in and you call it a rack. So for example, here we got, let's put an EQ8. We'll make like a little vocal channel strip here. EQ8, and put a low cut on that, put that at like 150, and then I'll turn off all these other ones because we don't need them. And then let's put some compression on here. Whoa, let's put the glue compressor. There's a glue compressor, and we'll set the threshold for whatever. Attacks for vocal, attack slow, release, attack fast, release slow, ratio down to, let's do 2. Maybe a little makeup gain. And then let's put another EQ here. Maybe a little like this, depends on how bright our microphone is. Something like right here maybe. I'm just like doing whatever here. And let's put a little saturator on at the end. Just like a little bit of drive, just to give a little something something. And we'll say, okay, we'll call this one saturated vocals. So I'm just gonna highlight all of them, hit Command G, open up my macro section here so I can see the name. Go in here, Command R to rename it. And we'll call this one vocals pushed a little bit. And save it. And there we go. So now we got all these, and you can see different examples I've done in the past. Let's say we work with Jeff all the time, and Jeff is coming over to work on vocals, so we grab vocal rack Jeff, and it puts it in there, and so we can see all the different sounds I've got going on, which is not much. I've just got a compressor and a EQ8 here, and I can adjust the threshold, the makeup, gain like that, right? Same thing with Samantha. There we go, boom. And this has got a slightly different setting, you know, whatever it is. And the one I just made, vocals pushed. There we go. And so these are literally just, I wouldn't even need to see my, well, I guess you can't. Yeah, I wouldn't need to even see my macros really for this one. So you can see that these allow you to quickly and easily grab multiple different effects. And you can have third-party effects in here, whatever you want. I think I've got this one here, raw, 808 raw sub effects. Well, this is all just stuff that comes with Ableton Live, but you can see here's a compressor, a little bit of a saturator, overdrive, some filter to mess with some stuff. So these are just your effect tracks. There's nothing really that interesting there. What I want to show you is a MIDI rack. Now a MIDI rack is, let's make a new MIDI instrument here. And let's grab a keyboard sound. MIDI racks, so MIDI effects are super cool. I'm just going to grab a really basic keyboard here. MIDI effects allow us to set up different things to control our MIDI, different devices to control the MIDI. So I go down here to MIDI effects, and I put something on top of it. So an easy one is to set up chords. So I grab my chord and I drag it down here, and the MIDI effects go in front. So now when I play notes on my keyboard, right? So when I play notes on my keyboard, if I turn these chords on, I can have it play different notes. I can have it play chords. Okay, so that's pretty cool. It's not as deep as the chord function in Logic, but it gets the job done pretty cool. But what we could do is we can also have this so it locks into my chord tones on my keyboard. So right now, and this is something that you don't really recognize so much unless you know music theory, but if I play a C, yeah, the shift is the voicings. Shift, it just moves by semitones. So if I play a C major scale, right here. Okay, so I've got that there. This is my C major scale. If I play a C triad. Yeah, it's really cool. So if I play a C triad, that's a major triad, right? That's in the key of C major. But if I play a D triad in the key of C major, that's a minor triad, right? But if I set this here, set the top one to 7, set this one to 4, that's going to be a major. Now, that's a major scale, but this is also, sorry, a major chord, but this is also a major chord. And that's not correct in the key of C major, because that would be a minor chord. That is also, that's a major, which is also weird. This one's okay, this one's okay, not okay, not okay at all. That one's okay again, right? So we have these different notes, but it just sounds weird because everything's playing major triads, which doesn't make any sense at all in the key of C major. Now, again, if you're not great with theory, you're not going to notice that, and it's going to maybe that sounds cool. Okay, that's fine. But let's make it make sense for music theory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the scale MIDI effect. And what this does is it locks things into a scale that you denote. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the preset here for a major scale. Let's just do a major scale like that, double click it, and you can see what it does is it locks my different notes in. We put the bass at C, you have all the different notes to change from, but we're just going to keep it at C because we're talking about C major. So now what happens is, here. Now it plays the notes properly. So it's playing the proper chord tones because we've locked it into the notes on C major. So it's not going to play, for example, an F sharp. It's going to pull that down to the F, right? So if I play this D chord here, now it's going to be a D minor chord, which is proper for the key of C major. Go over here, turn this off, let's listen to it again. See that? You can hear there's the F sharp in there, which for the key of C major doesn't make any sense. That's actually a tritone, which is a weird one. So now that pulls it to the correct note. Right? So what's cool about this is that if you know, okay, I want to have a major chord. Maybe you don't know what a major chord is, so you just click on the presets here and you just find the one that says major. Major, there's my major chord right there, boom. So it sets it up for you. Theirs actually sets it up a little bit different, but that's fine. I mean, it's fine. I have it set up in my head because I do it by the roots, 1, 2, and 3, but they don't do it like that. They do it just the root just goes through. But it's fine. It ends up being the same thing. And then, so you set up major chord here in your chords, and then over here you pull in the scale, and you lock that into, again, major, right there, major. And you just set it for whatever key you're in. So, for example, if I want to play in the key of F major, go up here and set that for F. So that's my F. And now, the other interesting thing about this is that you don't even have to know the scales at all. You can see, if I just turn this chord off here, and I play wrong notes, it's still going to lock it to a major scale because I've got this major plugin turned on. So I don't even have to know my scales. I can just use these MIDI plugins and right? It'll play that major scale. I don't have to know what my notes are. Let's go ahead and do an E. Oops. Let's do an E major scale. There's E. There's E. Sorry, E. So I just start on E. Now it's a little bit weird because because it's a lot more black keys on here, so it's a little bit weird. It's not my favorite way to do it, but you can still get this to work. But again, I'm not really, let's do this here. Now what you would do, probably an easier way to get this to work is, let's see if we change the pitch on our keyboard, because you can keep layering these on top of each other. Let's put the pitch here. I'm going to set my pitch, let me see, I'm in the key, there's C. If I want to be E, that's going to be 4 semitones up. So now, okay, change this bass to E. Yep, there you go. So you can do that. So what this one does here is it changes my keyboard. So now my keyboard is in the key of C. I put this up 4 semitones. Now it's in the key of E. But I'm playing the C on my keyboard. And now I can have it so it plays the right notes. So I just set this one here to E. I set this one to 4 semitones up, which is an E, and we're good to go, right? And I can just turn on my chords. So now, okay. Now this stuff may take a while to wrap your head around. Also, like the big factor in that is going to be just how good you are with music theory. The cool thing about this is it means that you don't have to practice your scales on like a piano forever and ever and ever to get good, but you still do have to know some of the math and a little bit about music theory, which I think is much easier to learn than practicing for 8 hours a day to get your fingers to be amazing for playing a piano. Playing scales on a piano or a guitar or something like that takes hours of practice every day for years in order to really get proficient at it. Learning the theory behind it really could take you an afternoon to learn some of the theory, and then to learn enough to get it set up correctly, and then you can move forward with it and get better at it, get more adept over time. But just getting it set up initially really isn't that hard. You could even, once you've got it set up, just go ahead and save it as a group, rack it up, and we'll call this one E major scale chords, like that. And let me actually change that character there to a dash. So what I can do is I can have this major chord here set up on macro 1, so it turns it on and off. So there, now it's off, so I can play my scale. Like that. And so you can play your chords, you can play your scales, you can set this up, and I can save it. There we go. E major scale chords, boom. And if you want to change this, all you do is just change the pitch here down. Let's put it back in C. Let's put the bass back in C. And now just rename this C major. And you could go through and set this up for every single thing and make all your little devices right there. And so you're good to go. You're ready to go, right? So this is a really cool way to kind of do this, and it's making Ableton Live work for you instead of you having to work harder. Now, nothing really replaces being able to play notes on your piano. This is a crutch, but whatever. It's fine. I can change this to minor. Let's change this to a minor. pentatonic. There we go, there's that, and now, yeah, pentatonic's going to be weird, that's going to be a lot of doubled up, so let's just go minor harmonic, minor harmonic, there we go. And what I want to do is I want to shift this to a minor, which is just going to take that right there, put it down a third, change that to the name, change that to minor. There we go. And now turn that on. Oops. Oh, whoa. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Put that back over there. Let's see, maybe shift it to major. Let's see what that does. Yeah, it sounds weird. It doesn't really work. Maybe because I've got these set for the minor, harmonic minor. It's a weird setup here. I'd have to experiment with this, but you could basically go in and mess around with it and just kind of get it so it sounds right. I'm sure there's a way to set it up so it works with the minor scales and the minor chords, but maybe this is set wrong. I don't know, but I don't really want to spend a lot of time figuring it out either. You could do what I do and just learn your scales and your chords and stuff like that, and then you'll be much better off. But this will help out with things. There's probably actually stuff that people have set up online that you can like download, and people have all sorts of settings, or maybe even Ableton Live ships some chord settings. Let's see. With the Effect Racks, MIDI Effect Rack. Let's see here, rhythmic utility, C major chords, E major chords, utility stuff, MP invert, scales, keys and scales. What does this have for us? Oh, cool. All the different settings are in here. Wow, that's fun. So let's see here. Set that. That's interesting. Okay, and we'll go to Mixolydian. Yeah, that's cool. Let's go over here to E. Oh yeah, it still does that kind of weird. You have to figure out what notes. It's a little bit, yeah, you got to mess around with it a little bit more. It's okay. So, there's some cool stuff. Now, let's go over here and check out the arpeggiator. The arpeggiator is cool. What this does is this will set up an arpeggiator, which basically re-triggers your notes. So if I play chords on my keyboard, it'll play that. Play different chords on my keyboard. Right, so you could do that there. And you can have it do a lot of things. There's a lot of different styles for the arpeggiator here. You can have it trigger chords. Which is pretty cool. It's not, their arpeggiator in here is not as nice as the one that comes with Logic. So Ableton Live made these MIDI effects, and then Logic also put in some MIDI effects into Logic. And the Logic did it better, actually. The MIDI effects that are in Logic are more thought out. Like Ableton put these in and kind of forgot about them. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's more stuff, but they kind of, they're not as cool as they could be. Maybe in the rack here, let's see what's in this rhythmic section in here. Autobahn, echo, note bounce. Arp harmony. Let's see what this does. That's interesting. You can see there's a chain in here of a lot of different things happening. Some random stuff. It's a little bit too random for my taste. But yeah, so you can see there's some things in here, and these chords. Let's see what the chord one is. Let's change this. I mean, it's okay. It's not, again, it's not super useful to like doing strumming stuff and things like that. You can get devices that will do strums for you. So for example, if in Max for Live, I got one, what's it called? Let's see if I can find it. In our user library, maybe? I don't actually remember. I'm not sure if I can find it. Strum? Strum. MIDI Effect Concord, Audio Effect Transformer. No. Or did I not? Maybe I didn't even put it on this computer. And now I forget when I actually put it in here. Let's see. Is it over here? Max for Live DLC. Isotonic. Strum is here. It's not. Okay, I didn't download it again. I need to re-download it again, I guess. Yeah, so I did download this thing called Strum, which will do the strumming of like a harp or a guitar kind of for you, which is pretty cool. I don't have it installed right now, so I'll have to go and install that because I haven't used it on this one since I've had this computer. I haven't used that Strum thing. But so there's some limitations to the ones that come with Ableton Live. But this arpeggiator, again, if we use what I just taught you about using the scales, go in here, Command G, so I could put you could put some more devices in this rack. And so arpeggiator here, and then put the scale after it. Now it'll lock it into whatever scale we want. So let's lock it into a minor scale. Like this, minor, yeah, whatever. Minor, there we go. So I'll put it into that one. And now, when I use the arpeggiator, it's going to automatically lock it into that. Okay, it's going to lock it into the right scale. Now, what we can also do is set up the chords before the arpeggiator, so I only have to hit one note at a time. So I'll just put some chords in. Let's put 3, so it has 4 shifts. And as you use arpeggiators, you'll kind of get to know this stuff a little bit better, how this works. We'll do like this, and now I can hit one note. There we go. So we can play. So and so I'm only playing one note at a time on here. Right? I can also go up here and go up and down. Let's try up, down, up and down. I think this one goes up and then plays the top note again. Yeah, so I could do that, and we can set up a few more of these. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So set these up. Put an octave up there. Put some more stuff up here, and then we can change the rate so it goes faster. Okay, do that. Let's see here, 12. Let's do 4, and then up an octave. There you go. And to do things up an octave, you just hold down Shift and hit the arrow up. Okay. And now I can play chords on you. And that makes it sound like you know how to play the piano, or at least you can play synthy type of things. It sets things up really, really cool. So here we can rename this. Rename, we'll call this one ARP, one note ARP. ARP one note. Like that. Save it. And we're good to go. ARP one note. So this is some basic things you can set up with MIDI effects. Just have an instrument on here, put the MIDI effects before it, set up some groups, and you can set these up like this. It's not super, super hard, but it does take a little bit of doing. You got to practice this to really get comfortable with it. Can you run a VST like Reactor or Pigments through an ARP record? Of course. Yep. So here, let's go here. Let's use Massive. I don't have my hard drive connected up, so I'm a little bit limited on what I can actually use. But let's go over here and use Massive. Massive, there's Massive there, boop. Yeah, click, open it up, and go to browser. Let's grab some synth lead, all the fields. There we go. Whoops, hold on, why didn't, yeah, I don't want that. There we go. There we go, and so. You can hear it's pretty cool. It's a little bit too much reverb. It's a lot of reverb. There we go. There we go. So you can see, you can add anything in here because everything is just, these are just different plugins, like MIDI plugins. The same thing, this Massive is third party, but you can mix and match third party stuff. So any of your racks, any of your whatevers, you can have third party plugins in there or first party plugins or whatever you want to get going on with that. So that is what's up with that. I think that's a good stopping point for everything. Go ahead and hit the stop on the recording here.